mediocre cover band guitar guy. The missus is gone, and I'm with the kids by myself edition. Well, one kid, actually. So, a couple things I wanted to talk about tonight. First one is I did a video a couple years ago on staying humble and not gacking other people's limelight, not stealing the show when somebody's playing, doing karaoke. Like, it's fun to do karaoke, and if your intentions are cool and you're going out to do it, like, I didn't mean in the video that you shouldn't do it, you shouldn't have fun, like, oh, well, I'm a professional singer, I get paid, I shouldn't. But if your intentions are to go up and kind of steal somebody's thunder, then that's kind of gross, okay? Isn't it, buddy? It's the dogs walking back and forth in case you're hearing, so you're gonna hear them chewing on some bones there in a minute. Don't worry, they're not real bones. But anyway, it seems that that fell on some deaf ears. And in a recent gig we did, we had somebody show up to a gig who plays the same venue, has plenty of their own gigs, and decided that they were going to go behind the sound booth and grab the microphone and sing with the band. And man, that was a shit show because it was out of key in a lot of cases, for one thing, and it screwed us up because we didn't know what he was doing. We couldn't see the sound booth because, I mean, you're in a dark club and there was like a lot of people dancing, and so the view to the back of the club where the sound booth is was kind of obstructed. So, guy gets up, starts singing with the band. Unbeknownst to us, I was actually doing the solo to Jesse's Girl, and this individual started humming along, like mouthing the solo into the microphone. I didn't know what was going on. Luckily, it didn't screw me up too much. Probably sounded better than what I was going to do anyway. I pretty much nail that solo. Like, I can't say nail it, but I do it pretty fairly note for note. But as everybody else, not special or anything. But like, luckily I managed to get through it. But this puts a band, like, it puts everybody in if you do this, it puts everybody in like a shitty situation because the sound guy is back there. He's employed by the club and he's doing sound at your gigs, and like, it's putting him or her in a difficult situation, man. Because they're there and you're using the microphone, you've got the mic, and they probably passed it over, not wanting to, but probably kind of, like I said, it put them in a weird spot, and it puts the band in a weird spot because you really can't say anything. I am right now. I'm not naming names. I'm gonna get into something about that in a minute. But I'm not naming names or anything, but like, it did put everybody in a bit of a situation. We're all over it now, but we were kind of, it's just what I'll say, we were kind of pissed at the time because like, that was our show that we worked hard for and worked hard all night for, and then when it went off the rails vocally, the first thing that went to my head was, do people think this is actually us now? So, man, just enjoy it. Like, when you go out to watch live entertainment, whether you're there to criticize it or to steal people's set lists, and listen, we all do that. We go out and see what works for people and what they're doing. And everybody rips everybody's set list. So don't be offended if you're playing a song and you notice a band a few months later is playing it. We all do that. And because sometimes it's something you wouldn't think is going to work, and it does. And we all want to please people, and that's it. But like, just enjoy the show. And think about your own shows. If you've got a lot of gigs and you're playing like a shit ton of gigs, you don't really need to step up and play somebody else's gig too. So that's pretty much what I'm going to say about that. Don't gack anybody else's show, okay? Let the people on the stage do it. It also falls into my hecklers thing I did with Perry Mercer a few years ago, and just stay away from the stage and let the band be the band. Let them play the songs. Let them do the job they were hired to do. They don't need help. If they ask you to come up, that's fine. If you want to get up, ask. Say, hey, do you mind if I get up and sing the song with you? Then everybody's prepared. It's not a shit show. You're not putting people out. You're not making people feel awkward and putting them in that situation. Okay? And I feel like that's what happened with the guy doing sound that night because, he's probably one of the nicest kindest human beings on the planet. So I don't think there was any malice. I don't think there was any malice involved on either part. I think there's probably a little bit of showiness on one part, but like this individual, because I don't blame one bit, and I just want to clear that up, is one of the sweetest, most professional people I've ever worked with in my life. So I really think that the whole saying of somebody is too kind to a fault really, really falls into this category for this individual. And they're a class act all the way, and have always, we refer to this guy as the fifth member of our band, and he's a class act, stand-up guy all the way, and I love him to pieces. He's one of my favorite human beings on this planet. So no ill will on that part. There's no ill will on the individual anymore either. I did wish diarrhea on him that night, but like I said, I'm over it. It was a stupid, drunken decision on their part, probably. So another thing I wanted to talk to now, since I've been doing these videos, I've been getting ripped a little bit about calling out people, and people automatically assume that I'm talking about their band or certain individuals. Yes, I am, but not the individuals who might think that I'm talking about. I'm talking about a very small group of people that I've dealt with in 30 years. Not even necessarily in recent years, but over time. Who've undercut the shit out of stuff, particularly one individual, and he will remain nameless, who really kind of got called out publicly by somebody who books venues one time on playing for really cheap. Anyhow, the thing is that I rant about these things, and the reason I rant is that I feel there are a lot of great bands out there from every genre of music, from country, even the Irish guys, even the rock guys, the original guys, the tribute people who work their asses off to put a perfect tribute show together, cover band people, everybody, solos, duos. There are a lot of talented people that get held back. Our music community in St. John's, especially here in Newfoundland, is very cliquey, and there's a lot of schoolyard politics. And what that term means is that you got to be one of the popular kids to get into the cool parties, in this case venues. And if you're not, you're going to get overlooked for a lot of things, and I don't think that's fair. I'm speaking from experience in bands that I've played in, and I see a lot of talent out there right now that really gets overlooked because they don't have the right connections, the right last name, or they're not in the right circle. They don't play in 12 different bands with the cool kids, whatever. So I rant because I'm frustrated. It's not necessarily anything personal about anybody. So here's what I'm going to say. If your band's booking gigs for the last 20 years, 10 years, 15 years, and you've still got a good reputation, and you're still landing some great gigs, and you're keeping your nose out of everybody else's business, then you're doing it the right way. Do you know what I mean? And there are a lot of bands out there that have done that over the years, and I'll call it out. Like, you look at Picking the Ball Points. They're not worried about who's playing in what venues. I use them as a benchmark for a lot of things when I'm talking about treating your band like a business, and because that's the way I look at it. They get the gigs because Glenn has built the relationships over 20 some odd years of being a musician. He's pumped the pavement back in the days before the internet. He put up the flyers. He's put in the work. He didn't rely on anybody else but what him and his band do. So let's just clear that up. That's one thing. It's the bands that have been around for 5 minutes that get headlining gigs at major festivals. They never get asked back after. It's those people who I refer to as either undercutting, bad-mouthing, or have relatives that get them the gigs. It's, you know what I mean? It's not me trying to take aim at bands or people to get gigs. I'm just trying to, like I said, I started this channel to kind of help people along, and these are some of the pitfalls that you're going to face. So I've seen it happen to us. I've seen it happen to a lot of other bands besides us, where all of a sudden it's like we had this gig, and in the next minute they broke off the community. And this happened to friends of mine. They were booked for something, communication broke off, and then there was another band playing that gig a few weeks later. So anyhow, that's where that's coming from. And you know that's what I'm doing with this channel. I'm just trying to warn people of these pitfalls, and unfortunately, this is not shit I'm making up. These things happen. So if you sit down and you go, well, he must be talking about me, then maybe you're doing some of these things. If you sit down and you say, hey, you know, I don't even know what the hell he's talking about, then you're minding your own business and booking your gigs and doing things the right way. And, you know, I like to see people get ahead, and I think if it's good for one band, it's good for everybody. If we all play the game and we get rid of this cliquey shit that goes on in this city, you know what? We could actually have a good scene. And I mean, once upon a time, we all worked together. And I was saying this to a guy the other day. Years ago, if you got to a club and your amp crapped out on you, you probably would call your buddy and say, hey man, my amp's not working. Is there any chance I can borrow yours? He would either say, hey, yeah, I'll run it up to you. You can come pick it up. Or if he was playing, or she were playing, or anybody, whatever you identify as, were playing, they would say, hang on now. And everybody would start spreading the word until you got your amp and your gig went ahead. Now, if you call somebody and you say, hey, my amp has shit the bed and I can't play, is there anything you can do for me? Yeah, me and my band will take your gig for you. That's the difference in helping what people perceive as helping you out. And that's a shame, because once upon a time in the 90s and late 80s, we had a nice little thing going here, and everybody helped everybody. I knew guys who never even owned a fucking amp and still played gigs. So that's it. I just wanted to clear the air on that if you think I'm talking about you, reach out to me and ask me. I'll tell you, yes or no. But like I said, I started this channel, and that was unfortunately, besides how to book your gigs and things to expect when it comes to how many songs you needed, developing a great set list, there are some shitty situations that occur where you lose gigs because you expect to be paid fairly, or somebody's jealous and they talk shit about you. And hey, that's it. So cheers, and take her easy.